Being a stunt performer often leads to 3 or more years of working back-to-back on film productions. The film industry doesn't allow for waiting around, so this entire time, the stunt performers are crisscrossing the country or, in some situations, the world, keeping pace with projects and the limits the industry needs to push. In this fast-moving world that walks parallel with risk and reward, I make some extra efforts to look after my stunt team. These females and males risk their lives every single day doing dangerous stunts, death-defying stunts. And if anyone was acquainted with even a slight risk and surviving overcoming obstacles, it was Chuck Norris. The man, the legend, the icon. Somehow Chuck Norris, who has beaten death on more than one occasion, at least according to people on the internet and legends, has managed to distinguish himself with being tough and living on the edge, and contains his boundaries due or related to life itself, and no one is exonerated that measure, and yes, that includes Chuck Norris. But who are the people who made it to the gentleman's bad side? I mean, he seems very darn tolerant. In this video, we explore the 4 actors that Chuck Norris reportedly hates the most, each with their own story that has never been heard before, stories that will leave you shocked. So buckle up and pay attention. Let's begin with Jean-Claude Van Damme. They both had their stardom in the 1980s and the 1990s. Both were action stars, both were titans of silver screen, both threw their fists in daring, no-holds-barred fighting style, and both were icons in their own right. Similar looks, similar styles, similar martial arts mastery. Both were enormous names in Hollywood. But what many did not know is that their relationship matched their on-screen companionship less than many would suppose. In fact, it was far less friendly. The story is that on one particular night, at a private party in Hollywood, Jean-Claude Van Damme, who was known for his bold and confident persona, approached Chuck Norris and issued a challenge. Van Damme challenged Chuck to an actual physical fight. Chuck, being Chuck, did not respond to the challenge. He did not get involved in it. He walked away. Van Damme, maybe expecting a more enthusiastic response, tried to laugh it off. But he wasn't pleased. At that point, Jean-Claude Van Damme would admit that he never forgave Chuck Norris for not accepting his challenge, and Chuck did not care. "I don't fight for sport," was all Chuck said, and that was the beginning of their rivalry. Until that point, they had never been mentioned in the same breath again. What could have been a friend and even an incredible duo just had an unsaid resentment between them. The second name to mention is Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal, who came up in the same period and is another martial arts star, is recognized for his cool and calm disposition and his unique action star presence. But Seagal's swagger would eventually ignite a subtle but pointed rivalry with Chuck Norris. It all started with an interview where Seagal made a somewhat incendiary comment. "Hollywood has no real fighters. Chuck Norris is just a brand." From Seagal, this was more than a passing comment. It was a repudiation of the very foundation of Chuck's essence. Upon hearing this, Chuck did not respond in public blows. He simply retreated. After a while, he silently canceled the public appearances, turned down invitations, and quietly withdrew from anything related to Seagal. Chuck would later say, "I don't hang with people that don't appreciate what I've been through. If Seagal is there, then I'm leaving." A statement that says a lot about how Chuck functions. He doesn't waste time with people that are disrespectful towards him, and he won't waste time with an argument. He simply removes them from his life. Third on the list is none other than Jim Carrey. Yes, now, I'm serious, the comedian Jim Carrey. Now, Carrey is known for his wild humor and outrageous behavior, and most of us know him from his off-the-wall antics and physical comedy. But what a lot of you do not know is that even Jim Carrey had his run-in with Chuck Norris, and not in a good way. During a comedy show once, Carrey decided to totally take a shot at Chuck Norris by impersonating him. He had a wig on and acted tough. He started imitating Chuck's well-known catchphrase, "I'm Chuck Norris, I win fights without ever leaving my couch." The audience roared into laughter. However, Chuck Norris was not laughing. As everyone else might have taken it as an innocent joke, Chuck apparently took the imitation as serious. To Chuck Norris, he saw the impersonation as mockery, and mockery was something he did not indulge. The result? Jim Carrey was effectively canceled from the world of Norris. Chuck Norris said loud and clear, "I am not in that circus." It appears that a single joke cost Jim Carrey any chance of being in Chuck Norris's nice books. The fourth and final actor on this list is none other than Bruce Lee. Ah yes, Bruce Lee, the man who not only gave Chuck Norris his first big break in the movies and made him a superstar, but also had the iconic fight against him in Way of the Dragon, which is still one of the most legendary moments in martial arts film history. But the truth to their relationship is much more complex than mutual respect. On screen, they displayed a bond of brotherhood and respect, but the off-screen relationship between them was much more strained. Bruce Lee was a perfectionist who had an incredible work ethic. Lee believed in an intense work ethic, which included 8-hour rehearsals that he would not budge on. Chuck, on the other hand, abided by what he was told, particularly those whom he respected. But he was not used to being told, and it was not a fan of long, drawn-out rehearsals with Bruce Lee, and definitely felt the pressure of Lee's expectations. Noted as one of the all-time epic fights, the Colosseum fight in Way of the Dragon is legendary. Behind the scenes, however, it was the beginning of a downward spiral for both men. Chuck referred to Bruce Lee later on as a genius, but also recognized that Bruce Lee's ego was bigger than the Colosseum. Chuck and Bruce ended on a nonchalant note. No more phone calls, no more creative projects together, and the only thing left was silence. This is a sad and telling end to what could have been one of Hollywood's greatest relationships. In summary, Chuck Norris is not a man of vengeance. He does not pour time or energy into those who disrespect him. He does not yell, he simply deletes people from his life. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal, Jim Carrey, and Bruce Lee are 4 people who do not exist in Chuck Norris's world. If someone mentions any of their names together, you can safely say that Chuck was not there. He does not deal with people he feels do not deserve his time or energy. He has no use for petty feuds or childish drama. He is focused on those things that are important to him. And who would have thought it? A person who is known for his toughness, his strength, and his indomitable spirit could ever harbor hate? That is not what you would expect from a man who is the name of peace, control, and silence. Other people may hate others, but Chuck will not, does not, and cannot hate.